This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details. Protect.
Jimmy K, King of the Rubes, chiming in on that talkback app to my boys. Guys, we're in great shape. We just held the Lakers to 94 points and 95 points in a playoff series. Luka's knees are bleeding. I don't know why. Can somebody figure that out? We were this close to making Stu Leibowitz call us all up at midnight last night when we came back for that win. We're coming home on Friday. And guys, give that ticket to somebody that's ready to howl, because I'll be in that single season ticket. Howl!
Man, yeah, it's silly, man.
Yeah, that's the with Jimmy K, King of the Rubes. It's not self-proclaimed. It was delivered to him by 9 to Noon many years ago. With him offering up talkbacks, confusing or hilarious as they can be. The good news for Rube Nation is that he doesn't need the tickets that we're giving away today.
Right.
He has his single season ticket behind the basket to the left of the Timberwolves bench.
They leave a foam finger on said seat before every game.
He got a foam finger. He has Helga horns that he's constructed into the ears of wolves. So therefore, he's got these big old puffy ears. So when everybody howls, he can hear them at the highest level. That's why he's King of the Rubes. Jimmy K, Jimmy Knutson, thank you. I don't know where you sit in this equation through the first hour and 8 minutes of 9 to Noon, your audio leader.
Yeah.
But from a talkback standpoint, I have Robert first, Blake second.
Okay.
It's tight.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, Blake went with the Terrence Shannon Jr. update and offered up a how. Robert just went really, really hard to the hole, man, with some really, really good takes. So,
Robert was good.
Yeah, they're beatable. They're all beatable. But nevertheless, that's where we are now, because we do have a couple of tickets to be given away to the third game of the series. That would be, I think it's an 8:30, 8:40 start, tip-tap from Target Center on Friday night, Wolves and the Los Angeles Lakers.
Have you seen the program director walking around here anxious, trying to figure out puck drops and tip-offs over the next several days?
Well, it's interesting you say that, because that in crafting my day yesterday, for old people to figure out how to stay up until 1:30 or 2 in the morning for the press conferences and stuff like that.
Your caffeine regimen.
Yeah, that's what we do. We take this job seriously. My day included that. So it went like this. Yesterday, got to KFAN at 6:30, wrote the radio show, did the radio show, done at noon. There was a draft show meeting with Abbott, Bursich, Lieber, and Charch. And, you know, the anxiety of everything that's on the plate with scheduling, tickets and presets and clipping penalties and draft show and KTLK.
Smoke machines.
And puck drop times and all that. I felt it. I felt it the last couple of days.
Yeah.
So I just sit back, take a deep breath, and offer up help whenever I can. But the draft show meeting was at noon. Then I zipped over to Plymouth for a couple of games of 2K, NBA 2K with the buddy. That's my son, Derek.
Who beat who?
We split yesterday. It took me having Oklahoma City to actually split with him. We had a heck of a game between the Clippers and the Nuggets. We like to play playoff pairings. And he got me pretty good, specifically in the final 2 minutes of the fourth quarter.
Any side action?
No side action, but the buddy just got back from Florida, where he and his girlfriend were for a week, so a covenant catch-up was required.
Absolutely.
At 3 o'clock, yours truly got hungry, and now we have a problem, all right? Corey Cove's eating disorder is ballyhooed. Mine is low-key. And like I haven't eaten all day today. I'm not eating before radio shows. I don't want to lose whatever, or mentally feel I lose whatever pop I have or don't have. So, I have strange eating habits, comparatively speaking. So it's 3 o'clock. I'm hungry, and now we have a problem with these game times. So after Easter, I made homemade split pea soup, which happens to last quite well. So we had a bowl of split pea soup. Then I run to Jerry's for topsoil and compost. Planted 18 zinnia seeds. Fingers crossed there. At 5:30, some mac and cheese. And here's the deal. I'm avoiding a large meal and getting tired. So we're trying to avoid a large meal and eat during the games and let the adrenaline and the excitement of the tweeting and the games and the texting and everything carry me into the wee hours of the morning.
That's impressive restraint. Split pea soup and some mac and cheese.
Well, I didn't say how big the bowls were.
Oh, fair enough.
At 6 o'clock, took the cats out back, let them get in some running and some sniffs. Well, kitties like to walk around and get some sniffs in.
Take them for a walk off?
Yeah.
Were they off leash or on leash?
Oh, they're off. No, they just celebrated their third birthdays, the brother and sister, and they're quite good in the backyard. If they see a squirrel run atop the fence, well, then we have a problem. Old Jackie likes to jump over the fence, and then his life is that of in peril. But they've gotten really good at that. So I spent about 20, 30 minutes doing that, letting them run around out back and get some sniffs. 6:30, I started watching Race for the Crown on Netflix. It's a inside horse racing bit with glitzy owners and jockeys and horses running up to the Kentucky Derby. It was actually kind of cool. At 7:30, I fell asleep in the sinkhole. 7:30, fell asleep in the sinkhole. That's a problem. 8:20, I woke up when Nordo texted me. And then I got a bunch of texts from Lonnie, the package handler, and Emma from church. So we had some business to take care of. So I woke up, cleaned up the mess I made from planting the zinnias and replacing the soil. 8:45, I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm out of sorts, but I'm ready for the how.
Ooh.
Wasn't that interesting? That's really, really nice stuff right there.
Well, that's a hell of a night. You want to hear another talk back before maybe we transition to the professor?
Old people need to think out things like that. What's going on, Professor of Hoopology?
All right, one more talk back before we pause for Trent Tucker.
Hey, good morning, guys. Mitch here again from South St. Paul. It's air conditioning season. I'm looking at some ACs today, tuning them up. So it's time for us Timberwolves to cool off these Lakers. The league knows that the Lakers are not as good a team as the Timberwolves. So they're just doing what they can to keep it close, 6-7 games, keep that profit. But we know the Timberwolves are going to win in 6 or 7. The refs are the only way they can keep this game close. We would have smoked them again yesterday, but we got this. Wolves in 6. Let's go. Ow!
Let's go.
Good morning, PA.
Let's move over to the Professor of Hoopology, Double T, Trent Tucker. He's an NBA champion and knows more about the game than all of us. That's around the corner. But first,
The Fan, along with BigDeck.com, want to give you a chance to put $1,000 in your hand with the National Cash Contest. Go to KFAN.com, enter the keyword happy. You'd be happy if you won $1,000. The keyword is happy at KFAN.com. Up 9 to noon later on in the show. I mean, we're giving away all kinds of stuff. You heard about the Wolves back talkbacks, but we're also going to be giving away Vikings Miller Lite draft party tickets for the draft party tomorrow night. Who are the Vikings going to pick at 24? You could be in person and a part of the show as well with PA and Pete and Lieber and Charge. Oh my, breaking it all down. Super cool Vikings immortality guests along the way. So, pair of draft party tickets to be given away sometime during the final hour as well. Stay tuned for that.
And we'll fire a 3 at the buzzer. It's off the iron, no. And game 2 goes to L.A. The Lakers win it 94-85. 31 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists for Luka Doncic. 21 for LeBron James, 16 for Austin Reeves.
Alan Horton, Radio Vox, Minnesota Timberwolves, describing part of the action last night from a Crypto.com arena. And welcome back, NBA champion and co-host of In the Zone Saturdays with Dave Sinekin and Greg Popovich is I did it with you here.
When you left out Bobby Womack.
Yeah, well, close your eyes. I can't have you look at me when like I do the Greg Popovich and across 110th Street with Bobby Womack.
Right.
He's Double T, Trent Tucker, one of our very favorites, and you're an elite basketball mind. You're also an elite hockey mind. So how much how did you balance the viewing last evening, beginning at 9:15 with the Howl?
Commercial breaks.
Yep.
Stop of action. TV timeouts, and I was able to see both of the games end. So the conclusion of both games I was able to watch last night.
Right. Both teams have stolen home ice and home court advantage. So that needs to be the A topic, despite the way things transpired in basketball last night and transpired in hockey on Sunday night. That's where we are. John Hines, coach of the Minnesota Wild, joins 5 minutes from now. So basketball, your takes matter more than mine. What happened to the Timberwolves last night?
I thought they played a very immature game last night. And what I mean by that, they didn't show up as professionals, knowing that, hey, we have a chance to seize this opportunity and kind of put a stranglehold on this series. They just came out with the wrong mindset. And I think that starts not just with the players, but also it starts with the coaching staff. And to me, I don't think the Lakers, no how, should ever be up by 20 points on this team. I just don't see the Lakers being 20 points better than the Wolves. And then when the Wolves finally got themselves together and were making a run at the end, they just turned the ball over too much. They were just too careless. They had a very immature mindset on trying to catch the Lakers to see if they could get close enough to win or steal that game number 2. So I would like to see, a little bit more urgency, not only just from the players, but from the coaching staff as well.
What do you like about Julius Randle's approach to the game of basketball and overall his game last night?
Well, when I begin to look at this matchup, and I was talking to Dave Senecan, a week or so ago, is that Julius Randle, to me, can guard LeBron James by himself. I think he's big enough, he's strong enough, and also he's quick enough.
And he ain't afraid.
And by him being younger, I don't think that the Wolves have to go in double team with that matchup. I would like to see them take Luka out of the game more when it comes off the pick and roll. There's no need to switch Rudy Gobert onto Luka Doncic. Just trap him, because the guy who's setting the screen more times than not is a non-offensive player. Make them pass the ball back to Hayes, who's at 25, 26 feet, to see if he can make a play. When you switch out Rudy Gobert onto Luka Doncic, now you're playing right into the hands of what the Lakers want you to do.
Trent Tucker, double T, NBA champion with the Chicago Bulls on the Wolves and the Lakers last night. We'll slide in some Wild, too, for double T. As the talkbacks go today, and just some of the common thread opinions during the series, and yours truly, I'm not saying I fueled the fire because a lot of people were talking about it, but I got a little lost into the series about officiating and just about the Jordan rules. I mean, you played with Michael Jordan. You know what the Jordan rules are. And they were real, where Michael, with his star power, I'm not going to say they're fixing games. I don't put felonies on people like that, but it's just sometimes refs get afraid to call certain things against certain players for whatever the reason. The crowd jumping on them. It's Michael, who knows? And I'm not saying LeBron, or Luka Doncic completely have Jordan rules on their side, but fouls 50-50 calls do seem to go their way markedly more than the other team. So with that laid out, the officiating through 2 games, and I bring it up because the Lakers went to holding a ton last night off screens. None of it was called. When Vanderbilt and Jackson Hayes are running up the court with the ball handler right behind, those are moving picks. They are moving picks, and one of them needs to be called every so often. Is it dramatically impacting the game? No. But I mean, it's tedious. They're pushing the envelope and they got away with a lot last night. You see it that way?
Well, I mean, you understand that on the road, game number 2, you may not get everything that you want, from a officiating standpoint, but that's where the maturity factor and the mental toughness comes into play.
Right.
Because you still have to go out and perform and do the things you need to do. Stay out of foul trouble. I mean, you're fouling guys for no reason. But if a guy's going to set a screen and you know that the officials may allow him to get away, with a moving pick.
See it coming.
Lay one on him.
Yep.
Lay one on him.
I got you.
So if you're going to call, if you're going to call a foul, or not going to call a foul, lay one on him. I guarantee you, the next time he won't be there.
That reminds me of the NFL and the tush push, and people talking a lot about this tush push, and should it be banned or whatever? And I'm like, you know what? When you have a receiver behind Jalen Hurts or any quarterback pushing him, you have ample time, and it's legal.
Lay one on him.
Run around the side and just hit him in the ribs. Just a legal stick in the ribs, and I bet you that pulls him away from the play and maybe lets them think.
I mean, you know
what I'm saying?
It's just like if Phil Jackson told me that, I'm the double team guy on Shaquille O'Neal when he turns to the middle, and if he hits me in the face one time, I guarantee you I'm not going down there again.
Right? Or somebody called Bill Cartwright to hit him back in the face.
Hey, and you send somebody else, man. Because there's nothing you can do with a guy who weighs 325 pounds when he decides to make a move going toward the basket.
Trent, you hit it early on talking about the immaturity of the total product that you saw last night. And Julius in particular mentioned after the game that we've had a lot of slow starts this season. He would continue on. We've had a lot of fast starts this season as well for a team that won nearly 50 games. But is there anything in particular that you've seen? First two games, Luka has had incredible first quarters. But last night, it felt like we were in quicksand, not hitting some of those triples we did in game one. And a 7-point deficit at half became nearly 20, and we were chasing all night. But anything in particular that you're seeing? Maybe it is just that immaturity you mentioned that leads to these slow starts?
What's the game plan? I mean, when you play against a guy like Luka Doncic, I believe that the Wolves have the personnel to play LeBron James one-on-one with Julius Randle. He can make LeBron James work on both ends of the floor. So now they have another superstar. So let's see how we can take him out of the game. And they are allowing Luka to play one-on-one basketball against a defender that he can work over. I would love to see, and I would like to see the Wolves come out with more of a double team. Because when he comes off the pick and roll, if it's Jackson Hayes who's going to set the screen at 25 feet, you trap Luka and make them throw the ball to Jackson Hayes, because Jackson Hayes cannot make an offensive play from 25 feet.
No, he stinks.
Right. So now you take away the return pass back to Luka, and then you force the guys who are non-offensive players to beat you in the first quarter. And that's going to force J.J. Redick now have to change his game plan. But if you allow Luka to walk down the lane with no resistance, well, then you're going to find yourself behind the 8-ball more times than not.
Damn.
Last night fouls were a part of the conversation, but Jaden McDaniels is really the most intriguing player on this team for me, Trent, from game one. And we see it throughout the regular season as well. And Ant kind of wills this kid into some of these performances. That's the way he speaks to it, is Ant believes in me. I go out and I do this, scores 25 game one. Then you see nights last night, and I know ultimately fouls were part of it, but what do you see in terms of Jaden McDaniels, where we know the high end is there of a game one, but it almost feels like it's inevitably followed by the lows of a game two?
Well, he is who he is, and we've seen this for the last few years. He's an inconsistent offensive player, but the one thing you like to see consistently from him every night is his defense. But in a game like last night, Julius Randle gave you what you needed, from a star standpoint. The guy who didn't answer the bell early was Anthony Edwards.
Correct.
And he
looked dazed and confused.
Last night was his moment to really step into that game early and see if he could put his team in a situation to win a second game on the road. They're going to need consistent play from Anthony Edwards if they want to get past the Lakers.
I don't know if you guys saw this. He was absolutely murdered on a screen early in the game. We're talking like maybe first minute of the game. And even when he got to the line the first time, did you guys see him shaking out his right shoulder as he was taking that shots? I think he actually got, you want to talk about dazed and confused. I think he legitimately was nicked up or had some sort of stinger there, to the point where, to your point, Trent, like he was forcing the action to the rim, but he clearly did not trust his outside shot until maybe the second quarter.
Well, see, and against the Lakers, who they don't have many guys who can protect the rim, and how the Wolves were so successful a year ago against the Phoenix Suns, they took the ball to the basket.
Yeah.
You had a great shooting night in game one from the outside, but we know that this is not a team that's going to shoot 45 to 50% every night from downtown. I think their bread and butter against this team is to drive the ball to the basket consistently because they have the personnel to do it. And a guy like Naz Reid, when he comes into the game, yeah, he was hot in game one, but the first thing that should be on his mind when he steps onto the floor, let me get to the rim first. Let me get myself into the game offensively by playing this way, and then I can go to the outside shot because I don't think they have anyone who comes in off the bench for the Lakers that can contain Naz Reid when he decides to make up his mind to take the ball to the hoop.
Right, and you know, it's back to McDaniels, okay? He missed all of his corner threes, and that's going to happen. But now Trent Tucker did not turn down many threes in his day, correct?
Right.
You get the ball, you got space. It's going up.
Got a good look at it. Right?
Okay. Now the Timberwolves kept refusing to shoot threes last night. I don't know if they were just, I don't know what happened, but I mean, they would have been, catch, shoot, quick threes. But they kept turning them down. Why do you think that when that happens, why does that happen?
Well, when they got behind, they kind of lost their rhythm, and all of a sudden now you begin to panic. So that's where you have to have an idea, okay, we're in this situation. What can we do now to get ourselves back into the game? And as immature as they played last night, they were still in a situation where they almost stole that game.
Right.
Because
they had so many chances.
When you talk about the last 4 or 5 minutes of that game, Luka and LeBron began to panic.
Yeah, and they got tired.
They were throwing the ball all over the place. I think the Wolves have the personnel to play different ways to beat this team, so I would be surprised if the Wolves don't find themselves in the second round.
Luka is on the refs, maybe more than any player I've ever seen. And we've watched a lot. You played, but I've watched a lot, man. And I'm not I'm not a most ever or worst ever kind of guy. And there have been players on refs throughout the annals of time. But if you're an official, how do you handle that?
You do what the old guys used to tell us. That's enough.
Yeah.
That's enough.
But what if it's not?
Then you toss his ass out of the game.
Right.
That's what you do.
We got to give him a T first.
Give him 2. Mm-hmm. And you toss him out of the game.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, he'll get the message.
Trent Tucker.
Let's go.
See, Earl Strong would tell you, that's enough.
Dick Bavetta, that's enough.
That's enough. And then after the second time, they would tell you, okay, we have the showers for you, and then you're going to learn your message.
Wow.
And if you don't learn, then we're going to toss you again.
And they just take it.
Yeah.
They just listen and just listen.
Because Draymond Green does the same thing. The one thing officials cannot allow a player to do is to show them up and embarrass them and put them in a situation where they have no power and control.
It's with Luka, it is showing up the ref. When you make a layup, you think you're fouled, and you scream in Gooderl fashion as loudly as you can, and one! Like 5 times with the ref 3 feet away. That has to be technical worthy.
No doubt about it, because you have to get control of the game as an official. That's what you are there for.
Yeah.
Because if you don't want to control the game, we don't need you. Let the guys just call their own fouls. Mm-hmm. But when a guy like Luka consistently is in your face barking, and he's berating you, and he's demoralizing you, at some point in time, you have to send the right message. And if he's not going to listen to what you say when you say enough, well, then you toss him out of the game. Now, give him 2 texts and toss him out of the game.
The first thing that I said about both teams last night, an hour and a half ago, is it was a directional Tuesday night. The Wild played north-south with a head of steam.
Yes.
When the Timberwolves were trying to play catch-up, it was a lot of east-west. It was a lot, everybody's running out on the perimeter. Then they wouldn't shoot the 3, and I'm like, hello.
That's when you got to drive the ball to the basket. That's when you got to go north and south. Because the Lakers don't have anyone to protect the rim. And the Wolves have the personnel to get the ball to the basket. Julius Randle can drive. Anthony Edwards can drive. Naz Reid is a good driver.
Gobert in open court. Didn't you see it?
Right. And all of a sudden now, when you get those guys going to the basket, the weak side defense has to rotate over.
Yes.
Now you have Rudy on the backside, who can catch and dunk, or he can get to the offensive glass and give you some second and third chances. I believe there are multiple ways that the Wolves can play and beat this LA team if they bring the right mindset.
But Rudy catching is
as Rudy is Rudy.
Jokes aside.
Yeah.
Rudy catching is a legitimate concern part of the equation.
Well, especially when he's trying to, sometime in traffic, trying to get offensive rebounds.
Yep.
But if you can clear space, by going to the basket, you have to force the Lakers to defend.
Yeah.
When you have a guy like Luka Doncic, we all know that he's a fantastic offensive player. One of the best in the game. But the one thing he does not like to do is to play defense. And you have to attack him every single time you can. And I would love at some point in time maybe to see, Chris Finch go to some different sets offensively. Take Anthony Edwards off to the ball so they can't double team him because he becomes stationary at 25 or 26 feet trying to play one-on-one. Move him off some screens. You got some guys that can set some singles and double screens to free him up for some easier looks, because all of the great players that I played with, they didn't just beat you by playing one-on-one basketball.
Right.
I saw a text machine bit, and this listener was kind of playing off what you were talking about, going north and south and establishing things by attacking the rim. One thing that we saw as part of those 21 triples they hit in game one was the kick out. You're pushing it inside, and you're always finding the open guy, and Nas and Jaden were hitting them. Were you surprised at all, or just a function of them missing some of those early ones that you didn't see much of that really after midway through the second quarter?
Because when you come out and settle at the beginning of the game with 3-point shots, all of a sudden now you lose that aggression of going to the basket. And you want the officials to know that we are going to be the aggressors tonight. We are going to take the ball to the basket, and we're going to put the onus on you to make these calls. And when the Wolves come out and they show that we are going to attack the hoop time and time again, now you can get those standstill wide open 3-point shots, and those shots are a lot easier to make.
That is analogous. That ties into the Wild too, because now Wild won. And granted, they lose 4-2 in game one. It was 3-2, until that flim-flam goal at the end. It felt like Vegas was the right team that entire game, despite it being a 1-goal game for a fair amount. But a common thread developing here about putting pressure on the refs. The Wild have out hit the Vegas Golden Knights 69-37. Last night, the Wild blocked 30 shots compared to 13. I mean, you got kids playing hockey. Not everybody wants to block shots, but it's the ultimate team sacrifice.
Yes.
Specific. I mean, it's hard to do. You got to have a mindset for it. It's kind of like a more painful version at times of taking charges. Not everybody wants to take charges either. Those hurt. And that's a team approach, but there was one penalty called last night in the Wild game that puts pressure on the officials. When John Hines joins in a half hour or so, it's like Foligno has 23 hits in 2 games. You've out hit him 69-37 in 2 games, and the ref's arm is not going up for a penalty. I mean, that's so key, right?
Well, because you now can establish how this game is going to be played. And the officials sometimes will fall in line with the team that is showing the aggression first. And I just believe watching the Wild last night, they knew that they had to be in attack mode. They were hungry to go after that puck. They put themselves in a position to play a physical game. And that's how they were able to walk away with the win in Vegas and tie this thing up. And the Wolves come home Friday night. This is a must-win game for them. They have to come out and reestablish themselves again as the aggressor, taking the ball to the basket right from the start, keeping the crowd involved in the game, and letting the officials know right from the opening tap that we are going to attack this hoop time and time again.
The Lakers last night became real tired late in the game, okay? I mean, LeBron's vertical might have been 8 inches on some of these jump shots. Luka's vertical, they got tired, and it was visible. Everybody could see it. Now, with just a day between games 3 and 4 out here, where we've had 2 days, and then you're going to have 2 days after 4 into 5, but with just play Friday, then chill Saturday, play Sunday. Will that impact the Lakers more than Minnesota playing those games with just a day in between?
Yes.
Why?
Because the Lakers are an older team in terms of their superstar LeBron James. Mm-hmm. The recovery time is a quick turnaround. And so if the Wolves can push the pace, use those young legs, get up and down the floor, make it hard for the Lakers to run their offense, force them to get back in transition, make this a physical game. And if the Wolves can make this a physical game, I think it favors them.
So with the scheming of the switches to get Gobert on Doncic, and then you spread the floor. So let Luka go one-on-one with somebody who's taller, but he lumbers and he's not as agile as Luka. You said
just trap the pick and roll.
Trap that thing right when it happens.
Yeah.
Make him kick it. But seriously, the position that Gobert was put in last night, I mean, time and time again, it was repeated. I thought he did a pretty good job most of the time trying to keep up with Luka with the shoulder shakes and the head nods and everything. I mean, Luka gave him the kitchen sink, and I thought Rudy did okay.
He did a very good job, and like you said, in certain situations. But let's make it easier. So don't let Luka dance because Luka wants to dance. Luka wants to shake and bake. He wants to put the ball between his legs 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times.
Right.
And he's going to win that matchup more times than not against a defender like Rudy Gobert in space. Just trap him, take him out of the game, and force somebody else to make a play.
Right.
Make it easier for your defense because when you put Jackson Hayes in those situations with the shot clock running down, he's not used to being in those positions, and then good things are going to happen for your team on the defensive end.
Trent Tucker.
In the Zone Saturdays, 8 a.m. with Dave Sinekin, Greg Popovich, and Bobby Womack, who produces the show. And time for a couple more here with Double T basketball. OKC is looking like a tremendous machine. Oklahoma City. What do you think about their first two, man? I mean, they've been wins against Memphis by a combined 70 points. I mean, it's unbelievable how badly they're just killing this team.
Well, they have, 5 or 6 guys who are very strong defensively.
Yeah.
And when you bring in guys off the bench and they play their roles very well, it seems like their defense get better.
Tightly knit.
And then when SGA doesn't have a very good, strong offensive game and you still win by 50-plus points,
right?
That tells you a lot about what this team is all about.
Lastly, did you ever play with a guy like Kawhi Leonard, cold-blooded, beats you from all over, and is uncomfortably quiet?
He wasn't quiet, but he could beat you from every spot on the floor, and he wore number 23.
Yeah, right, Michael Jordan. Right, but he'd let you hear about it.
Yeah, he wasn't quiet. PA for years, I thought before.
Kawhi's like a statue.
Before he got hurt in that game against Golden State years ago when Jaja Pachulia stuck his foot up under him when he was up for a jump shot, I thought at that time Kawhi Leonard was the best player in basketball.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
Certainly the most cold-blooded.
Well, because during that game, the Warriors had Kevin Durant and, Steph and Clay and Draymond. And before he went down with the injury, I can remember this like it was yesterday because I was a big Spurs fan, following Greg Popovich.
Yep, Greg Popovich.
And, they were up by 20-plus points when he went down with the injury, but I felt like at that time Kawhi Leonard was the best player in basketball.
Thank you very much for the time.
Anytime, man.
Yeah, I'd like, let's do it again next week if you got time, okay?
I'm in Philadelphia next weekend.
Out there with the boys with hockey?
Yeah, hockey, yeah.
Oh, geez.
I go Friday to, I think, Monday. But, during the middle of the week, I'm around.
Right. Well, when they commit to some program that's going to get them to the NHL, let me have the first interview, okay?
We can do that.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Right. Double T, Trent Tucker. News du Nord around the corner. More of your talkbacks at 11 o'clock. And about a half hour from now, John Hines, coach of the Minnesota Wild, calls us from Las Vegas before they take off to come back to the state of hockey. And all of that is courtesy of 9 to noon, your vast and ever-expanding audio leader for KFAN. Hey. I see you had a little after-school class there with the professor of hoopology, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm not opposed.
He's the best.
I'm not opposed to extra education.
Yeah, it's adult education. Copyright Daryl Hall and John Oates. I mean, right out of the gate, he low-key kind of savaged Finchy and staff.
Yeah, he did.
He just went right after it. and he speaks from the heart. Trent Tucker has no agenda. Likes the Wolves. If the Wolves don't win, he's not on the Davenport of love. He just, this is somebody who played many years in the NBA and played with Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, maybe, but certainly a Horace Grant. He won a championship with Michael Jordan. He knows what it's supposed to look like and how it works.
Right.
So when he's like, I thought the Timberwolves were immature last night. That's the players and the coaching staff with the way they put some things out there. And Time and time again, you need to call Greg Popovich and talk about playing maturely.
Well, he was up high, down hard early and often during his time with you. But even when we were talking during the break, and you're right, I got a pen and a pad.
The best ever.
And I sat forward, sat up, and I was just downloading as much as I could from the professor.
I was going to ask you what part of the break the Timber Tech spot was, but I didn't want to break up that session right there when he started talking about a trap next to a wing and Luka.
Yes.
Hey.
Well, that's what I was getting into with him because, and I will say this, Trent kind of, in the way an expert would, he makes it sound easy, and maybe it is that easy, or he's making it sound easier than it is.
Yep.
But the idea of if they were looking for that matchup, and this is in a vacuum last night, game 2, is you're gonna get Rudy. They want that on Luka. Okay, well, and we had talked about this earlier too. I'm watching moments where Rudy, in all good faith, is kind of handling his part of the equation, right?
Same.
He's playing it safe. He's not going to foul, but he's going to make every shot as difficult as possible on Luka. But it was DiVincenzo coming in late. It's XYZ player coming in late and getting the foul and bodying Luka, and that was creating problems. Why aren't we seeing that help earlier? Earlier in the equation before he's just outside the restricted area.
Right at the pick.
Correct. So why is that not happening? If you're able to change that, then he goes into...
That's a great question, and I didn't even think about it last night. Did you?
No, I did not.
Because I was marveling at Rudy trying to defend Luka, but after the first 15 times, we probably should have thought, hey, how about you double top of the key, let Rudy drop back in case somebody's going to penetrate, and then ball comes back to Luka. Up goes Rudy. Do it again.
But in a game of corrections, both overcorrecting and just doing things differently and learning from previous games, I would imagine that you see something like that Friday night at Target Center. But again, Rudy? How about Rudy in open space last night?
Yes.
Rudy, they put him in spots where he is not comfortable, he is probably not preferring, and he is not at his best.
Yep.
But his dogged defense on Luka when he was forced to do it, he was pretty damn good, and he got loose for the runaway.
How about Luka on that play?
Oh, well.
I mean, Luka's trailing the
Part of why
play.
he got loose.
He's faster than Rudy.
Correct.
Or he should be, at least. He is pulling a sled occasionally, though. But he could have sprinted back and fouled Rudy, made it a difficult shot for the layup. And if you missed it, it's Rudy Gobert at 7 whatever, picking off a pass and getting loose just right around half court.
Giraffes are faster than you think.
And dribbling all the way to the basket to make a layup. So Luka took 5 steps like, oh no, I got to go get him. But then he stopped, and what did he do? Yelled at a ref.
Yeah, he did.
He stopped in a play, turned around to yell at a ref. This guy, man, seriously, I'm getting so sick of him.
And that was right in the moment where it would have taken him 3 steps to catch up and probably stifle the Stifle Tower into having to grip, possess, and then pass and slow everything down.
Yep.
But so that's what I was talking with Trent Tucker about. This is a team that has had a couple of slow first quarters in a row. That can't continue.
Yep.
Not hitting the shots they hit in game 1. Yep. Wolves fans, and I got a
missing free throws early.
Correct. I got a pile of talkbacks we'll hit on in the final hour because Wolves fans are all on it. But that's and that's going to sum up kind of News de Nord, brought to you by not a casino, ladies and gentlemen. It is the casino at Canterbury Park in Shakopee, the only place you go for poker, blackjack, and table games. Having sips at chips. You're watching live racing. You got Derby Day in just over a week now. It's a week from this Saturday.
Yeah.
And you're going to be wearing big hats and drinking mint juleps and having a blast at Canterbury. CanterburyPark.com for event details.
Yeah, the buddy's there right now after a week away.
It's Wednesday.
Yep, so he's there now. So go say hello to my son, Derek, who's working at Chips in the casino.
I would suggest buying a tall Summit EPA, have a few sips at Chips before returning to feel the felt.
Yep.
Again, 3-card poker.
Yep.
You can hit it when you hit it in 3-card poker.
Yep.
The ebbs and flows, the swings, the misses, but let's focus on the swings because the good times are always the best times. It can be all good at Canterbury Park.
And go Malik Beasley or Russell Westbrook on it, go ahead and tip the buddy $300.
Yeah, please do.
It's
Matter of fact.
Westbrook was when he played for OKC, I think. They were here. Was at Canterbury.
Oh, yeah.
Derek was working. Derek's worked there now 9 years, coming up on 10. So he's in the food stand. I mean, we're doing hot dogs and popcorn and sodas. He's just baby buddy.
He was face painting.
Yeah, face painting and running on the track and stuff like that with hippity hop bouncy balls, 3-2. But so he gives Russell Westbrook 5 hot dogs and a bunch of stuff, and Russell paid for it. Tipped the boy $300.
Okay.
I mean, Derek almost cried. Well, Malik Beasley, when he played here, I mean, the trifecta is what it used to be called, our cafe in the casino. Closed, let's say 1 o'clock, I don't know, 2 o'clock or whatever. Buddy's packing up and everything. Malik Beasley and 5 of his friends roll up. We want some food. Derek's like, well, I mean, we're closed. We don't have anything. I got these 2 hot dogs, these 2 bags of chips, and I can just give you guys 5 sodas if you want. Malik said, that's really, really kind of you. Thank you very much. And I'd like to he gave him $300.
Wow.
As a tip for your kindness.
That's very nice.
So I'm a big Malik Beasley guy for the Motor City Kitties, though.
Now, the sad thing about it is you want him to receive such generous tips so that you can now start side action when you get together to play 2K and take said money from Son in that way. So there's good times, bad times. Good times, bad times with the Wolves and Wild. Wild win 5-2 last night. They even up the series coming home to St. Paul on a high. As we've talked about with the Wolves, losing game 2, but in some ways shifting the balance of the series by getting one out there, big city, bright lights. Both teams coming home 1-1. But how cool was it, PA, specifically in the Wild game? I mean, and we've been watching a bit of the playoffs, like Nugs Clippers, I think, is probably... save for hours. It's been good.
Yeah.
Knicks and Pistons.
Been good.
The Pistons were on the freaking grind, leading that thing by nearly double digits, a little more for most of the game. And then
Cunningham, though.
But then Brunson and company came, they came charging at the end, but Pistons held them off. That's a cool series. In a first round of blowouts, you're getting a couple of those, but it was so cool to see not only Kaprizov's playmaking continue, Boldy's goal scoring continue, 2 things we wanted in this postseason series. How about the way that Hartman's been through 2 games? Foligno getting the goal last night.
Love it.
And maybe, if there is such thing through 2 games as an MVP, let's chill, it's a 7-game series. Gustafson kept them alive to make those early plays, shift the momentum, and win the game.
And John Hines, coach of the Minnesota Wild, joins about 15 minutes from now. Only thing I'd like to add there is shortly after, very late in the Wolves game, Anthony Edwards is lollygagging above the 3-point line, like straight ahead from the basket. And LeBron just comes right behind him, picks him off. Just took the ball from him, went down, and they scored.
Yeah.
Well, then you flip over to the other game, and shortly after that, Marcus Johansson, beloved JoJo, picks off somebody for Vegas, gets it to Zuki. Zuki scores.
Yeah.
And it, it was those games last night. It's just so cool having 2 pro teams like that we care about. But the overarcher here, getting out of 23B, and the details, and there are a lot of details, but the overarcher is both teams underdogs, Wolves and Wild. They both have seized home court and home ice advantage. What you do with it from here, our work's done. Yours has just begun.
That's News to Nord, brought to you by The Casino, Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com. You want to do a little montage and some talkbacks around the corner?
We were up all night in boomtown rats-like fashion, and we got some talkbacks to continue to play. Free iHeartRadio app. We text and talk back more than people know. Heinze, 15 minutes from now. Tomorrow, first round of the NFL draft. The draft and the Vikings and rookies and all that get center stage tomorrow. The only break from football in the NFL draft tomorrow. Anthony LaPanta, who calls Wild games on TV. He'll be joining us in the first hour. Outside of that, we'll start with Charch, roll into Courtney Cronin. After that, we go LaPanta, Nacho, Nordo with the news, Dan Miller, the Lions Vox on what's up with them, and then Alec Lewis joins in studio. So it's a football feast tomorrow, but Up all night, that montage put together by Nordo in second to none fashion, and more of your talkbacks are around the corner. It's 11 o'clock. This is 9 to noon, your vast and ever-expanding audio leader at FM 100.3 KFAN.